everyone. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. This is Imagine That with Carla. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I have 4 projects to share with you. 2 are thrift flips. One is a project that I'm making with things that I have in my stash that I need to use up. And the other one is an upcycle of a small little wooden frame that I got at an estate sale. And for that project, we'll be using some IOD molds and some decoupage paper. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy these projects I want to share with you. This is an enamel pot that I thrifted a couple of years ago, and I've had it in my booth, hasn't sold, so I decided to do something with it. So what I did was, first I took some of Dixie Belle Slick Stick. I painted it and let it sit overnight to dry. Then I took some green frog tape and I sectioned off the enamel pot so I could paint the bottom with Fusion coal black paint. And then I removed that tape, and I'm going to add another little piece of tape over the black paint. And when you're using frog tape, it's best if you can maybe rub it over a towel, or I'm wearing jeans, I just kind of brush it over my jeans, and that keeps it from pulling off your paint when you remove it. Now here we're going to take some Liquid Sunshine by DIY. It was a little dry, so I had to add a little bit of water. It is a water-based paint, so you can add water to thin it out if it should become a little bit dry. I am putting this all over the top. Then I'm going to peel off my frog tape, and you can see I didn't have any problems with the peeling off the paint. Now we're going to take some Dixie Belle Clear Coat Satin and put over the top, because the DIY paint does not have a built-in sealer, and this will act as a sealer for the DIY paint. Now I'm using the brooches mold from IOD that was released this spring. I'm choosing this one because it has some branches around it, or vine rather, and I thought it would go with this since I'm making this into a planter. It's a little delicate, so you want to be a little bit careful when you take off the casting from the mold. Now we're going to add some Titebond glue to the casting, and I am using Sculpey air dry clay. I'm going to place it on that line that kind of divides the top from the bottom. Now I'm using my clip together letters, and I'm going to dip those in cornstarch, and we're going to take the word bloom and press that into that mold. I'm taking Sculpey air dry clay, and this is the olive crest mold from IOD, and I'm going to make those 2 olive branches to go on either side of our blooms casting mold. Here we're adding again the Titebond wood glue. I try to get the edges really well so it doesn't pull up, but sometimes they will kind of have a tendency to pull up, but you don't want to mash too hard, or you might interfere with the integrity of the delicacy of the design on the mold itself. Here I'm using a Prima redesign mold because it had the cutest little bees on there, and so I'm going to take those, and they're very delicate because the little feelers and legs, I think I lost some, but I don't think it's that noticeable. So we're going to put those on either side of those olive branches. And when I started out with this project, I wasn't really sure like how I was going to put it together, what I was going to do. So you will see in here some changes of paint colors that I thought went better than what I had originally put on there, and I didn't want to make you watch me do it over and over. So I did some of it off camera. Here I'm taking Fusion's Heirloom and I'm painting the inside of this little casting with the bloom that is imprinted on it. This is the Fusion Black. There's kind of a rim around this casting of the word bloom, so I wanted to put that in black. And as you can see, there's a vine that goes around it. This is what I changed colors on a few times, as well as the olive crest branches. You can see here I use Heirloom on the olive crest branches, and later you will see that change. And on the vine that went around the bloom oval, I had used Dixie Belle's chocolate on that. I think we add some things to that too. Here I'm just kind of touching up some of the yellow, and I did go around the top with black. And I got the bees painted black. And I don't know why my picture changed here, but it did, and I went back and tried to figure it out, but I don't know why it changed. But here we're just adding yellow stripes onto our bee. And then off camera, I took a white paint pen and I added some little detail to the wings to let them show out a little bit. And I tried not to make them real sharp. I wanted to kind of smudge them with my finger a little bit, so you'll see those show up as well. Here you can see the little white there. Okay, now I went back and I used Everett to go over the olive branches that are on either side, and I used chocolate for the vine, and then went back with Everett and put on the little leaves that are on the vine that encircle the oval that says bloom. Now I'm just taking black paint, kind of touching up some places that needed to be touched up. And as I said, I'm going for kind of a rustic look, kind of outdoorsy look. And I'm not sure that you could actually put this outside in the weather. You probably have to bring it in because I'm not sure the air-dried clay would withstand rain or that sort of thing. Now I decided to use some of Fusion's aging wax to even age this and bring some of the brightness out of that yellow to tone it down just a little bit. I love this Fusion aging wax. It's so creamy and smooth, and it's easy to wipe back. You don't have to have another wax on before you can wipe it back. It wipes off very easily. Here I'm just wiping it off, and I think this turned out really nice. I like the aged look of my little planter. Now this frame I picked up, I thrifted it maybe at a garage sale. I'm not really sure. So I'm starting out with Apothecary DIY paint, and it was a little thick, hadn't used it for a while. And again, you can add water because it is a water-based paint to thin it out. So I'm mixing that up and I'm going over my frame. With this Apothecary color. It's a very pretty color. And it goes on, it looks really dark, but when it dries, it's really light. I add a little water to kind of spread that out. I don't want it real thick. Now the picture that I am putting in here, it has a little bit of a green background. So this is called Pine Blue by Fusion, and I thought if I put that on there, it might bring a little green out, but I'm not getting what I wanted. So I go in with some Heirloom to make it a little brighter. And we're going to put that on. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, you know, this really is not the color that I'm needing for the picture that I'm planning on putting in there. So I went ahead and dried it. I took a little more of the, I think this was the Heirloom, and I'm just going over lightly and kind of highlighting some of those places. And then I decide to hold my picture up there, and I was right. It did not do what I was hoping it would do, and I apologize for the ring light glare. So here I'm just taking some of my gold, it's like Rub and Buff, but it's by Spectrum Noir, and I got it off of HSN a long time ago. It's a gold metallic wax, and I'm edging the edges of the framed part that goes around the picture, and I'm putting it on a little bit heavier there, and I just continue to put gold all over this frame. I'm getting a little carried away because I'm liking this gold on this color of this frame, even though I know, I'm thinking, it's not going with this picture, but we'll fix that. So I go over and I hit some of the raised areas, kind of giving that some highlights. And then I wanted to put it on those little flowers. I think that just really makes those pop. It doesn't get lost in the different colors of paint. And I like the way the different colors of paint are on there as well. Now I'm just going to edge the top and the bottom with the gold wax. And we decided to take it out. It's not working. So we took it out. And I took some Victorian lace paint and covered the picture, and it kind of came up because I had attached it with double-sided tape. But when I dried it, it did kind of pull back down, so I didn't have an issue with that. And I took a piece of textured paper that I had purchased from HSN. There were lots of different textured papers in this packet, and so I'm gonna use that and use my double-sided tape and apply that to the back of this picture, or the front of this picture, I guess. And this will act as a background to what we're going to do next. Okay, I decided from the new release from IOD, Wild Blowman, we took this little rather sparse rooted, looks like daisies, you can see the roots, and it's very plain and very simple, and I think it is perfect for this frame. Kind of burnish that off a little bit, make sure it's stuck on there. You can kind of see the floral in the background of that textured paper. I'm going to place this on. As you can see also, I have a little white paint on the back because I'm always laying something down in what I painted, but we'll fix that. And there it is, and I think it goes perfect. The yellow with the gold, the simplicity of that little transfer, I think really pops in that ornate frame. Here are some things that I've had in my stash that I thought, I really need to use these. And I had this frame. We all buy these when they go on sale from Hobby Lobby, the wood frame. And this little bunny I got last year at Hobby Lobby after their season sale. And you can see the bunny kind of has a striated stripe. And it's kind of a greenish and cream color. And here I am using liquid patina by DIY as my inlay medium, not a decoupage. So we're using the inlay, we're gonna mist it, and we lay the inlay on, put a little more of that medium on there. And as I get that on there, I'm going to dab it off of that excess water. Luckily there, when I pulled it off, it had not begun to come off and transfer yet. So we took a cloth and we dabbed off the excess. Now I'm going to paint the inside of the frame with Apothecary, a DIY. And this color of paint really is like that little striation that's in that bunny. So cute. Make sure that's good and dry. Then we're going to mist it and gently pull it back and see how our inlay transferred. I am very pleased. Came off very nice. Okay, here's another sheet of that textured paper that was in that packet that I ordered from HSN, and I'm just going to take my fingers, make an imprint of the inside, so when I trim that off, it will fit nicely down into that frame. Now I'm using double-sided tape. This looks like an 1/8 inch. And I'm going to be placing that around the edges as well as randomly on some places on the back of this paper. The smaller tape, it went on here perfectly. There were little places that were thick enough on this textured paper that I could apply it, and it did not come through and be sticky. However, if you did have a larger tape and it was sticky, you could simply take a little bit of cornstarch, dab it on your finger, and dab it on those sticky tape places, and then it would eliminate that stickiness coming through those openings. This is such a kind of delicate paper. It was hard to kind of get these off the edges. It kept wanting to stick to my finger instead of the paper. I simply place this in and it fits in there nicely. I'm going to take my little bunny. Perfect. I'm using E6000 on this. I just really wanted to make sure that it would stick really well and not come off. So we use the E6000. We're just going to center that up and place it on. Those colors work perfectly there. Then I'm using some Sweet Pickins dark oil. I felt like I just kind of wanted that frame to pop a little more, and I think this worked out really nice. And I used the oil instead of the wax because I felt like the oil would absorb into this wood a little better. Now for this little wooden frame, I got this actually at an estate sale. They had a lot of craft items there, and I think I got it for like $1. So we're going to take the IOD mold here. This is called Classic Elements. It's got a lot of different things you can use, and I'm using resin because the casting that I'm going to use for the top of the frame will be sticking up just a little bit past the frame, and I thought it would be a little more durable. I did mix up quite a bit of resin so I could pour different things. I was hoping maybe I could use those two little curved things on the sides, but that didn't work. But we found something that worked just as well or even better. So now I'm using IOD's Dainty Flourishes, and I'll be using Sculpey Air Dry Clay for these castings. Putting in my cornstarch to enable a easier release from the mold. Rolling this out into a long worm. This mold is pretty thin, so it's easier to work with a thinner piece of clay when you're doing a thin mold like this. However, IOD molds do have that raised edge, so that helps you get a clean edge when you're putting in your clay. Here's the one I want to go at the top. I'm going to put these around the sides from the Dainty Flourishes. And I thought about using those curved ones, but they didn't work. So we went ahead and moved up those Dainty Flourishes and added this little piece from the Classic Elements to the bottom center. And I actually do like that really well. I'm going to use my E6000 to attach the resin. I'm going to use the Tight Bond Thick and Quick wood glue for the Dainty Flourishes. Now this is a paint from Fusion. I love this color. This is the first time I've used it. It's called Algonquin. And so here I'm mixing up some truffle milk paint equal amounts of milk, paint, and water. Mixed it up because I thought I love that light on the dark, and if that, you know, flakes and crackles like it's supposed to do, that would look really neat. Now here I'm applying it, and as you can see, it gave me a little bit of crackle, but I didn't get the flaking I was hoping for. So I tried to sand it a little bit to let some of that dark paint shine through, but I didn't get much luck with that. It was on there really good. Here I've taken my decoupage paper, and I got this from Etsy, and when I received it, it had a UK postal mark on it, so I guess it came from UK, and I love this little church. Little country church, kind of reminds me of the little church I went to growing up in a small rural town. It looked pretty much like that. So we've got that trimmed down, and I'm going to be using liquid patina as my decoupage medium again. Pull back the decoupage paper, make sure my church is straight. That's what I'm trying to do. And add our decoupage medium. Put it on there really good around those edges. We don't want those to be popping loose. Then we're misting it. Laying that top down. Then we're going to apply our decoupage medium to the bottom part of the frame and gently smooth that all into place. Adding the top to the decoupage, adding that medium on top to seal that in nicely. And now I use the aging wax from Fusion, and I love the way that turned out. You can see maybe just a little bit of the crackle from there. It's kind of hard to see on camera. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.